basically this executive order, which would be, by my count, roughly the 95th executive order he's issued, does nothing to change the ability to hold people as opposed to catch them and release them. And it actually says the first 2,500 that come across the border get in free.
I'm disappointed that the president has, sort of gone into the same frame as Donald Trump at a very time when we need to make a distinction between Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
All right, from the right and the left, criticism that this plan the president has to freeze activity at border crossings isn't going to do the job. With us now is Alejandro Mayorkas, the Homeland Security Secretary, kind enough to join us. Secretary, what do you make of that? That's a bipartisan bashing you're getting there.
Neil, thanks for having me on the show. Bipartisan bashing is part and parcel of immigration, but where we need bipartisan unity is where we had it in the proposed legislation that senators and this administration worked so hard to achieve. That bipartisan legislation would have provided the toughest statutory, the toughest new laws to further secure our southern border in more than 3 decades. It would have allowed us to hire 1,500 more U.S. Customs and Border Protection personnel, more than 4,000 asylum officers, more than 100 immigration judges. It would have funded technology to increase our ability to interdict fentanyl.
But it didn't happen. But nevertheless, you had said, and the president said a number of times, sir, that the border already was secure. So obviously it's not.
Oh, Neil, we've been talking about strengthening the security of the border since day one. The challenge of irregular migration is very, very dynamic. Our personnel, our Border Patrol agents are doing extraordinary, heroic work every day, 24/7. We need more tools. We need our broken immigration system fixed. We need more resources, and the American people deserve it.
All right, but nevertheless, you're doing the one thing you criticized President Trump for doing when he was in office. I want to take you back to October 2020, sir, when Joe Biden was saying this about the president's move at the time, President Trump's move at the time, to deal with these asylum cases. This is from your boss.
This is the first president in the history of the United States of America that anybody seeking asylum has to do it in another country. That's never happened before in America. That's never happened before in America. You come to the United States and you make your case that I seek asylum based on the following premise: why I deserve it under American law.
And now he's doing what Donald Trump did.
Not true, Neil. And President Biden spoke accurately in the clip you just showed. President Trump shut down asylum altogether. What we are doing is cutting out the smugglers and deterring irregular migration in between our ports of entry, where it's so very dangerous and the crossings are illegal. We are allowing asylum claimants to come to the ports of entry using our CBP One app in a lawful, safe, and orderly way. We also have built other lawful pathways for individuals to seek asylum in this country. So we haven't shut down asylum. What we've done is further strengthen the border through executive action, which can be challenged and will be challenged in the courts, which is why we need Congress to act. That is the enduring solution.
All right, that might be, but the ACLU is not pleased with this asylum action. Says that the Biden administration just announced an executive order that will severely restrict people's legal right to keep asylum, putting tens of thousands of lives at risk. This action takes the same approach as the Trump administration's asylum ban. We will be challenging this order in court. Yet in your defense of it, sir, if I heard you correctly, you were saying that there are ways around that, and through the CPB, where a lot of people are sort of processed and then released, you're not really going to be that strict on this asylum thing. So the ACLU really has nothing to worry about.
Neil, I disagree with the ACLU's assertion. And I should say that when people access the CBP One app and come to the port of entry, they have been screened and vetted before they arrive at the port of entry, further advancing our security at the southern border.
All right, so the way this works is that you get over 2,500, which we're at now. If this went into effect like right now, it would, instead of just midnight tonight, you're already dealing with that. Now, then what happens when you get below that? Then how long does that kick in? Because some people think it's going to be an on-again, off-again approach to dealing with the mess at the border. And throngs are still going to get in and working it like clockwork.
Neil, it will, in fact, be immediately in effect. And then if we experience 7 consecutive calendar days where the average number of encounters each day is below 1,500, then 14 days after that 7th day, we will reopen. And if in fact, the number of encounters thereafter is 2,500 or more on average for 7 consecutive days, we have the authority to again implement this bar, which we would do.
So the one thing I didn't understand, Secretary, there are a number of exemptions for this, including unaccompanied children. And isn't that a green light for drug cartels to take advantage of that? And, the whole purpose of this, it sort of blows up in your face.
Oh, absolutely not.
Well,
Neil,
who's going to watch those
accepted,
unaccompanied children? If they are allowed in, you don't ship them back, you don't do anything like that. So where do they go?
Neil, we deal with unaccompanied children in a humanitarian way, adhering to our values. We deter irregular migration. We build lawful pathways.
But this encourages
we have
drug
programs
cartels
for
to
minors.
take advantage of those kids, does it not, sir?
Neil, we're taking it to the drug cartels with unprecedented strength through our transnational criminal investigative units.
No, this is actually a green light for those
customs
cartels.
enforcement.
Isn't that the fear, that this was actually green lighting and say, oh, God, we can use these kids as pawns to get what we want?
Neil, let's be clear. The cartels, the smuggling organizations are unscrupulous. They exploit individuals of all different types of vulnerabilities. We are taking it to the cartels. We accepted unaccompanied children from this asylum bar because of the compelling humanitarian picture they present.
All right, let me get a better...
We're going to adhere to our values.
Okay.
We're going to adhere to our values while we take tough enforcement measures, which is what we have done.
That may be the case. Chad Wolf, of course, one of your predecessors, and others have been saying this is too little, too late. I certainly understand, sir, what you're talking about, this measure, this border, a bipartisan deal that fell apart. I know you blame President Trump for that he sort of pushed Republicans not to support that. They didn't. It is what it is. But essentially, we're back to doing something that looks like an election year ploy. The election's only 5 months away, and lo and behold, you guys do this now. It just seems weird.
Neil, first of all, those voices of criticism, I would posit, did they support the Senate's bipartisan package? I would hope so. Number one. Number two, let's keep in mind the chronology. Up until May of last year, Title 42 was in effect. Mm-hmm. After Title 42 ended in May, we drove the numbers down, and we began pressing Congress to take legislative action. The president in August requested a supplemental funding package, again requested it in October, and we began working on bipartisan Senate legislation that did in fact make it to be presented to Congress. We expected Congress to act. They did not act once. They recently failed to act twice, and we took this executive action. It's not too little, and it's not too late. We had hoped that Congress would act. They have failed to do so, and the president exercised his executive authority as he has done now.
All right. I noticed you had a variety of border city mayors there, but not the mayor of Eagle Pass, or Rolando Salinas, who's been a frequent critic of your administration, and you personally. Why?
Neil, I've met with Mayor Salinas. Why certain mayors showed up, others didn't, I'll leave it to
No, he
them
wasn't
to
even
express
invited.
their
Not a matter of
views.
showing up. He wasn't invited.
I was very pleased to be joined by mayors, by members of Congress, by 2 governors in
But he's a big
support
one,
of
right?
this executive
He's in harm's
action.
way. Eagle Pass is the epicenter. It just seems weird.
Well, no, it is not, Neil. It is not. It was at one point in time. It is no longer the epicenter of the number of encounters that we experience at the southern border, which is a powerful example of how evolving and dynamic the situation is at the southern border.
Well, we'll see how it goes, Secretary. Thank you very much for taking the time here. We'd love to have you back to see how it progresses. Alejandro Mayorkas, the Homeland Security Secretary.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.